Andrea and I just tied the knot. One of the things that brought us together was a love for travel. We decided there was no better way for us to start our journey through life together than with an epic adventure across the globe.
Welcome to paradise. We're going to the evening banquet at Hobbiton.
So we met at Tobag End with the One Ring.
And you're going to free fall for 60 meters before you get caught into that swing.
You look like an Olympic gymnast.
It's physical, you're gonna be tired, you will deserve your beer.
They would never see it again.
When Andrea and I got engaged, we knew we wanted to do something epic.
We actually started planning our honeymoon even before we were engaged, and at the time we called it our special trip because we refused to call it a honeymoon until we were actually engaged.
Our 3-week honeymoon will begin in New Zealand. We're going to spend 1 week in the North Island and then 1 week in the South Island. Then we'll head over to French Polynesia, where we'll spend some time in Moorea and Bora Bora.
We'll be getting our chances to do everything from bungee jumping to sitting in our overwater bungalows sipping pina coladas.
We have just boarded our United flight to Auckland, so just a short 12 and a half hours till we're there. Hoping to get some sleep.
Thing I've learned over the years is that no matter how long the flight it is to get there, it's always a special moment when you first catch that glimpse of your destination. That thing that you've been planning for months or even years goes from something that's just on paper to something that's actually real. We decided after an exceptionally long flight that the best way to start things off would be with it's called a salt float. And so there's, I think he said 800 or 900 kilograms of salt in this pool. And you just sit there and you're basically neutrally buoyant, just floating around in like sensory deprivation. So this is kind of a first for us, and we're gonna give it a try and see how it goes. We'll let you know.
This one was like a toddler the entire time. He was like splashing around.
Just a rat.
It's not a rat. It's not a weaver.
It was pretty awful with him. I thought it was amazing. I would happily go again solo.
After taking some time to recover from that long flight, we dropped our bags off at our Airbnb and headed out to explore the city.
Found out before we went that they have a rotating night market that goes through different places in Auckland. It's basically where a bunch of Asian food vendors get together in like a parking lot. So the thing I was looking forward most to trying there was something called takoyaki. I'd seen it on a million travel channels. Basically chopped up bits of octopus inside kind of like a fried dough ball. It always looks so good. The first dish we got here is octopus balls, so we're gonna give it a shot. Oh. So hot. Oh, all right, we're good. We gotta take two with the fried octopus balls. So it's exactly as you'd think. It's batter and chewy octopus.
Okay. Try a small bite. I don't eat seafood, so we'll see how this goes. Why is it like falling apart? Oh. Oh, I'm gonna be chewing this for like 5 years.
I think it's called a crispy noodle. And boy, that is right on. It literally is a corn dog that they put like uncooked top ramen on.
All right, about to try the yakisoba with pork bowl. Let's try. Very good.
What is yaki whatever?
I don't know.
To finish off the night, we headed over to this cool little ice cream place we'd heard about that has these crazy ice cream cones. You can get a selfie cone that has a chocolate picture frame or a set of mini cones that go on the tips of your fingers. I think we paid a small fortune for 2 cones, but you definitely can't pass up coming by if you're in Auckland.
Day 2, we took a ferry over to Waikiki Island, just off of Auckland. And the ferry over was beautiful. The water's gorgeous. It was really cool to get to see the city from a little bit of a distance. And that island in and of itself was just absolutely stunning. Just so much greenery, beautiful ocean views. It was gorgeous.
All right, good morning. Plan today is we're going around to a bunch of wineries and we're basically gonna drink until we can't stand up anymore. And then try to fumble our way back to the ferry. So let's see how this goes. Maybe we'll be sleeping here tonight.
It's a beautiful day. I had never been on a winery tour, and I thought the most interesting thing was just how such small things can really affect the taste of the wine. Some of the vineyards they plant like facing the ocean so that it gets a saltier taste from that like salt air breeze. So that was crazy, really interesting to learn. My favorite wine that we tried all day was this Pinot Gris from Cable Bay. It had this very strong like pear flavor, just really fruity and light and sweet. So that was amazing. I think we need to go like find a bottle and ship it over here for like $1 million. So I realized in doing all the tastings of the wine that I'm a bartender, and the best words I could come up with to describe the wines were good, bad, and subtle. They won't be hiring us anytime soon. So So also while we're doing our wine tasting, you know, they're telling us the slight flavors that you may taste in the wine. And, you know, some of it makes sense where they're like, oh, it might have a peppery taste. But then the guy's like, this one's slightly peppery with essence of pencil shavings. What the heck? That's not something I want to drink.
I've never read the back of a wine bottle. It was like, tastes like pencil shavings. Reminds you of chewing on rubber erasers.
A little boring.
Did you say boring?
Just like nothing really special about it. I mean, it's so good. Best I've ever had.
So then we drove over to the Coromandel Peninsula. The drive over was absolutely gorgeous. Just so many rolling green hills, beautiful beaches.
Should be interesting. We just got on the Driving Creek Railway, which is going to take us up into the mountains.
So it's this quaint little railway that this old kind of eccentric hippie potter built to bring his materials up to him on the mountain. So you get to learn a little bit about the history, a little bit about the land, and then it leads you up to this place that they call the Eiffel Tower, where you just get beautiful, beautiful views of the peninsula. Very Disney-esque.
It's cool. It's just funny. It's this kind of attraction that's in the middle of a really small town that has this giant railroad going up the mountain. So it was fun.
We're out of control.
After the Driving Creek Railway, we headed over to the Lost Springs Spa, which is a geothermal spa, a variety of different geothermal pools. Driving up to it, we were a little confused and concerned because it's like in the middle of a neighborhood. So we weren't expecting too much, but as soon as you got in, you were just like transported to another world.
Oh, it was insane. I mean, it was like if they had hired the people who built Disneyland to build a spa. It was really impressive.
They had a variety of different pools and kind of hot tubs, all with different temperatures, all very kind of natural looking. We ordered lunch by the pool and got some tropical drinks. They had caves and waterfalls. It was beautiful. We took some time to go get a massage and a foot bath. So that was nice and relaxing. But it was just a really, really nice day, really cool experience. Beautiful spa.
So smooth. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
We just arrived in Hahei. It was a beautiful drive over here. We just checked into our Airbnb, which is absolutely gorgeous. We really wish we were staying for more than one night. I'm just going to show you around real quick. We have this gorgeous view, free roaming cows. There is this outdoor shower over here, which I probably won't be using, but it is a cool little feature. We have this deck. It has this absolutely gorgeous view of the ocean out here.
Going down to Cathedral Cove for a little morning hike, so we're just kind of eating breakfast on this beautiful patio that we're staying at. I can't get over how awesome this place is. His view is insane. So we were hiking towards Cathedral Cove, and we rounded the corner. Out of nowhere, just came this like handful of goats. Two goats. We didn't know what to do. Like, we're from Arizona, in the middle of the city. Like, wildlife just does not randomly appear.
There's so many goats here. What do we do? Who's gonna win?
Oh my god, more goats. Oh my god, more goats.
we like stopped and we're like just watching the goats, and then these other hikers walk past and I'm like, oh hey. We're like, oh, there's some goats, and they're like, oh yeah, we saw them. And just walk right by.
Cathedral Cove's an iconic landmark of New Zealand. It's essentially a giant rock where erosion from the ocean created a cove. It's huge, very comparable to the size of a cathedral, hence its name.
Andrea likes surprises, so in the months leading up to our trip, I kept her mostly in the dark about what we'd be doing. Instead, each night on the honeymoon, I'd give her an itinerary for the next day, and on this occasion I had a special surprise planned.
Evening banquet! Yay! We're going to the evening banquet at Hobbiton, so there's going to be copious amounts of like old school food, so I can have my drumstick and pretend I'm a hobbit, which I pretty much am.
So this is my surprise to Andrea. It's kind of crazy I think I looked at this like 3 or 4 months out and they were already sold out. But I literally checked every day, if not multiple times a day, on the website to wait for a cancellation. And a couple weeks ago, one popped up. So we're going to Hobbiton
For a banquet!
It's really interesting. The Hobbiton set sits on a farm in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing but cows and sheep for miles, and then just randomly out pops this fantasy village. It was initially built as a temporary facade that was taken down at the end of filming of the Lord of the Rings movies. But when the Hobbit movies were greenlit, they rebuilt the village, this time out of long-lasting materials. Now, anyone can come out and take a short guided tour of the set during the day, but we're lucky enough to have tickets for the evening banquet, which takes place for a select few after the attraction is closed for the evening. And like all good attractions, it both starts and ends in the gift shop.
Somehow I don't remember when they were using moisture cream in The Lord of the Rings, but I guess I missed that in the extended scenes.
There is a scene in the Fellowship of the Ring where Frodo is waiting for Gandalf to arrive. When he stands up on the edge of the ridge and accuses Gandalf of being late, that particular scene was filmed in the gap between the old pine trees. That is where Gandalf informed him a wizard is never late. Frodo Baggins, nor is he early.
He arrives precisely when he means to.
We made it to Hobbiton. We're on the banquet tour, so we're going to do a tour of the facility, and then we're going down to the Green Dragon for dinner.
So crumbled halfway through dinner.
In total, we have 44 hobbit holes. There would be about 300 hobbits that live here. However, if any of you spot a hobbit, I'm probably going to ask you what you've been smoking, because they are fairly elusive.
In fact, we are a completely organic movie set. If you see it growing, it is definitely real. And if you would like to have a garden that looks exactly as Hobbiton, nice and organic, you just need to hire 6 full-time gardeners and a landscaping team at least 12 strong.
Everything about Hobbiton is great except this. I hate kale. See, we met at Bag End with the One Ring from Amazon. So you can either spend $150 in the gift shop or $10 on Amazon. Which one do you think I went with?
Up here too though, the tree that you see above Bilbo's house, this is a new type of tree. It is a real fake oak tree. It has a steel frame, expanding foam on the inside, and the leaves are of course plastic. And not far out from filming, they didn't like the colour the leaves had faded to because there was a delay in between it happening. So they actually got people up in cherry pickers and stuff to spray paint all the leaves a different colour. And of course the only trouble we have now is when the leaves come off, well, that's it. So what they were doing for a few months last year was pulling it apart to relief it. And by the time that's done, there's near 250,000 leaves wired onto the tree. And on a really windy or wet day, it looks quite creepy because the rest of the trees go hard out and it just goes.
Excalibur. Even with the whole tree stump. Normally this place is absolutely packed with people, but we're the last tour group to be here, so everything is just completely empty and we have everything to our own. Alright, so we made it to the Green Dragon Inn. We're just waiting for them to finish setting up the banquet, but we happen to get brews that were made just for the filming. So we're gonna have a little drink and then we're gonna eat. Cheers.
So we're going to do a countdown from 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Remember tonight, guys, we are hobbits, not dwarves, so you can pass the food to each other, not chuck it.
That was just incredible. There's like more food than you could ever eat there. Everything you'd ever want. And it's still a few days till Thanksgiving, but we're considering this our Thanksgiving Day feast.
But like 1,000 times better than a traditional American Thanksgiving.
We're thinking every Thanksgiving from now on is going to be a Hobbit-based Thanksgiving.
Cherry and crumble, pavlova, butterscotch sauce, custard, bliss balls, bacon tart, and then a cinnamon and honey yogurt. Excellent. Wow.
How did Bilbo live to 111? In one ring. So full, but I must keep eating for the hobbits.
Now the extras that were involved in filming, they were mostly friends and family of the cast and the crew, and they had a real 3-night party out here. When you see it in the movie, there's food, there's ale, there's dancing, there's fireworks, and that is exactly what happened. The only thing that was mildly disappointing was the beer was brewed for filming, and it was nicknamed a sobering thought because it was only 1% alcohol. They were meant to be filming from 9 o'clock at night till 5 o'clock in the morning, and someone did the math and realised pretty quickly that a real beer was going to mean some very, very drunk hobbits by the end of the night. So they instead went with the 1% option. Experience the movie set like this is something that even for us here at Hobbiton is incredibly special. There are very few places like this in the world that still has all of the magic of Middle Earth. Seeing it like this just makes it that little bit more real. When you look at the movie set all lit up, it's almost like the hobbits have had the same feast that we've just had, and they're stumbling back to their nice, warm, cozy hobbit holes. Thank you so much for choosing to come to spend tonight with us. I do hope you've made some wonderful memories. You're going to remember this evening for a very, very long time.
The day that Andrea fears most on this trip has finally arrived. We're going whitewater rafting today, but not just any whitewater rafting. We're in New Zealand, so we're rafting the tallest commercially rafted waterfall in the world. So you go rafting like normal, but at the end there's a 21-foot waterfall. You go face down.
It's like a real life Splash Mountain without seatbelts. I told John I am 100% predicting I'm going to go flying out of the boat, and I'm not really concerned about like my health or safety. I'm just going to be like really embarrassed about it. So we'll see how that goes.
So everyone we talk to, I'm pretty sure if you go over a 21-foot waterfall and you fall out of the boat, nobody's going to laugh at you. I'm pretty sure everybody falls out of the boat.
Loser.
Idiot.
You suck.
Wrong waterfall.
So wish me luck. Hopefully you'll see more of me on this trip.
If she doesn't make it, I guess this video becomes just about me, so. John's honeymoon.
Now give your biggest, warmest round of applause for this shady place. Okay, this is Malcolm. He's new here. Hi, Malcolm. I'm here for a bit.
What the hell? You got one more try! Stop! There's such a British thing to say. More with penalty the whole way through. And back pedal.
And they were never seen again.
Put your pedals up and celebrate! Yeah! Keep down, keep down!
You can do it.
We are right above Crucial Falls. Has your heart going like that a little bit?
Yes.
I survived the waterfall. I didn't even fall out once. One of the things that I feared the most ended up honestly being one of my favorite parts of our entire honeymoon.
Shot! We made it! Thank you!
Oh, we had a blast. Thank
That was
you.
great, thank you.
For keeping me alive.
Good to be part of the honeymoon, eh?
Yeah.
We're all a part of it.
You're invited to the rest of it too, so.
That's good because it's very small.
So Rotorua is known for being kind of a big geothermal area, and so the next place we went to was called Hell's Gate. It's this geothermal reserve where, what is a geothermal reserve? Where the mud bubbles and you can see it!
That's pretty much it.
We went to see mud. That was the reason to go to New Zealand.
You can see it. It's true. That's pretty much all it is.
We agreed before going on the trip that we weren't going to let rain get in the way. So whether it was raining or not, we were going to do activities, and we're not sure. Logic is holding out right now.
I was so miserable. I was a big old crappy pants that day because it was freezing cold, it was pouring rain, and it smelled like eggs. So all in all, it was a pretty crappy day.
You read about Rotorua and you'll find that the whole town just kind of smells of rotten eggs. It is 100% true.
We were just discussing the fact that there's multiple types of eggy scent here. Up front, it was just like a dump truck full of rotten eggs sitting around. And then
This one is like egg essence of porta potty.
it's so pretty, but the scent is so strong.
So we ended the time there in the mud baths. They're supposed to be really good for your skin, so we soaked in them for a little while and got to do some mud masks and just relax. And then we hung out a little bit in the geothermal pools there too, which were nice and relaxing. However, while I was there, I started noticing I had to like close my eyes because they were like watering and just not feeling good. Then later that night, they started hurting again, like really badly. And
so we found that the gases that are given off there form like a mild sulfuric acid when they mix with the water in your eyes. So
I had acid burns in my eyes.
I didn't.
Maybe that's why my eyesight's going so badly right now. Other than just bubbling mud pits and the lovely rotten egg smell that comes along with it, Rotorua is also well known for being the best place to take in the culture of the original inhabitants of New Zealand, the Maori. We're heading over to Maori Village to take a look at what it would have been like to visit an ancient tribe. We enjoyed a traditional New Zealand hangi, which is the Maori method of cooking food using heated rocks buried in a pit oven. It's not only a method of cooking food, but also a social occasion. We had a great time getting to know guests from around the world and tasting the delicious meal.
We need a leader. We need a rangatira. We need a chief. Are there any volunteers? Have we got one? Yeah. What is your name, Chief? Daniel. Daniel, where are you from? London. How about a round of applause for Chief Daniel from London, everybody? It's going to be your chief. He will be your leader here tonight. You will be challenged by one of our warriors here tonight. He's going to challenge you with a peace token, Chief. If you accept it, they will welcome you and your tribe into the village. To seal the welcoming ceremony, you're going to perform something. Now the hongi is how we as Maori, we greet each other. Okay, all it is. Light pressing of the nose and forehead together twice. Shaking of the hand. This is what brings together, Chief, two tribes in one. And friendship. I've got to let you know though, Chief, in the past, I've had 4 headbutts, okay? 4 people have headbutted me in the past, Chief. 3 people have rubbed noses with me, Chief. We don't rub noses here. All right? 1 tried to kiss me, Chief. Not a great day that day. Okay? Let me tell you, he was attractive. Not my style though, Chief, not my style.
There are many Maori traditions, but the haka is definitely the most well-known. It's essentially a war dance designed to prepare warriors for battle and intimidate their opponents at the same time. They do this in part by bulging their eyes and flickering their tongues. Interestingly, this is not a singular dance used by every Maori tribe. Instead, every haka is unique and usually involves telling a story of the tribe's history. Wrapping up our 7 days in the North Island, we're now heading down to Wellington for our last day before setting off to Queenstown in the South Island. Wellington is famous not only for being the capital of the country, but for being a major hub to movie production. We're headed down to see one of the most famous ones of which you've probably never heard, even though they've had their hands in some of the most popular Hollywood movies. Weta Cave is the studio which created the digital and practical effects for movies like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Avatar, and King Kong.
Outside they've got the big statues of the three trolls from The Hobbit that you get to pose with.
Sounds like a really cool place to work, kind of a really modern work culture. It sounds like they just attract a lot of really cool, talented people in a variety of different areas.
But it was really cool. They had this life-size, like it must have been 8 feet tall statue of Azog the Defiler from The Hobbit that you got to pose in front of with swords.
Weta was also commissioned to create an exhibit for Wellington's Te Papa Museum. This was to commemorate the Gallipoli campaign of World War I, where a great many New Zealanders lost their lives fighting against the Ottoman Empire on the Gallipoli Peninsula, which is now a part of modern-day Turkey. War is often glamorized in popular culture, and it's easy to forget the hell these young men went through. The exhibit tells the stories of a handful of those who were there. It was very impressive. They have all these lifelike statues that are like 15 feet tall, and every detail is perfect on them. Every hair on their body was hand punched one by one. It was just incredible. You can even see beaded sweat on their foreheads. One of the most heartbreaking stories was that of a hospital ship nurse who had been sending letters to her brother who was fighting in Gallipoli, only to get off the ship to find a stack of letters stamped "Killed, return to sender." He died 4 months ago.
You know, it's kind of a sobering experience.
If this is war, I trust New Zealand will never be fool enough to forget that to avoid war, one must be too strong to invite war.
It was very moving, very touching. I thought this was incredibly well done. So that wraps up the adventure in the North Island.
Just wanted to say hi from the Wellington airport. Oh, also, Smog wants to say hi. It seems like no matter where you go in New Zealand, you can't escape the Lord of the Rings. To check in for our flight, we had to sneak past Smog, and to get to our gate, we had to pass under Gandalf and his eagles.
So we had the most amazing experience on the North Island. It was beautiful. It has just so many different types of terrain there. Just about anything you could want to see is there. There were beautiful beaches, there seemed to be tropical rainforests, there were mountains, there were rolling green hills, there was snow. We saw literally just about everything, and it was beautiful. It was an exhausting week. We didn't stay in the same place more than 2 nights. So we were just kind of go, go, go the entire time, but we got to cover a lot of ground, got to see a lot of things in the North Island. So I think it was worth it. We were tired, but it was a great experience. Not so sure about this.
Just random tunnels in the woods.
Let's do it.
Next, we are taking a flight down to Queenstown, where we'll be spending another week.
Next on Lewis and Bart.
It's a lot like being in a jet fighter, because like you bank into all the turns. It's crazy when you go underwater and you can just see the like 6-inch layer of water just going over you.
You're gonna free fall for 60 meters before you get caught into that swing.
We're all in her sexy suit. But now comes the most harrowing of all, the luge.
We just checked into the onsen hot pools overlooking this gorgeous valley.